Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. My name is Sarah and I like making videos about makeup, beauty, skincare, lifestyle, just whatever I feel like talking about. I do this for fun and just as a hobby, so thank you for joining me today. We're going to be doing the TikTok makeup trend of latte makeup. I know I'm late to the game. I'm not super into TikTok all the time, and I kind of just like to wait and see on trends before I jump immediately into it, but this was one that I just like all the looks that came from it that I was seeing, so I wanted to test it out myself using products that I already own in my collection. I didn't buy anything new for this video, and I don't think you will have to either. So if you want to see how I kind of followed along and created this latte makeup look inspired by the, I think, original video that Tennille J posted on TikTok, then just keep watching. Okay, so the first thing that she did in her tutorial was use a highlight or glowy base product. I don't really have anything like that. I'm thinking if you had maybe the darker color of the e.l.f. Halo Glow or the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Lotion or the Glotion from, what is that, Maybelline or Revlon, that would be good, but I don't have anything like that. Plus I don't usually like a ton of shimmer on my face, so I'm going to skip that step and go to the cream bronzer. I'm going to use my Makeup Revolution cream bronzer. I just feel like this is a good shade. As she said in her video, I want to try to stay away from orange or red toned browns and stick more to just true browns and that caramel color, and I feel like this is a good representation of that. So she was just bringing that all the places you would contour. I think what's interesting about this tutorial that I'm kind of following, I'm not going to do every single thing that she did, but there's no foundation base. You're just kind of letting your actual skin shine through, which I can appreciate, and I do that occasionally as long as I'm feeling confident in how my skin looks. But I think there will still be enough product to provide any sort of coverage depending on your needs. So she kind of does the basic contour areas of the face, and there isn't really any blush involved, so this I'm kind of bringing up onto my cheeks, also where my blush would be. She does also bring some of that into the crease and outer corner of the eye, which I thought was interesting. So I'll kind of try that out too. I've never actually used my cream bronzer on my eye area. Then she takes a different cream bronzer and does kind of the inner corner contour, to the inner of the eye to the nose. So I'm going to try that out. That's not typically where I contour on my nose if I do, but I'm going to try it out. So I'm just going to use my contour stick from Wet n Wild. This is in the shade Oak. So I really don't have a ton of this left. Okay, it's looking like more than it really is, but I've used a ton of this over the years. But this also, again, I think is a good color for this look. It's definitely a true brown, and I don't think it leans very orange or red. So I'm just gonna take a brush, kind of attempt to do what she was doing in her tutorial. I think this is a good look to try out now too, just because we're kind of nearing the end of summer, and it's definitely something that I want to, still appreciate and embrace at this time. I think it's so easy to fall into getting ready for fall and autumn and seeing all the Instagram posts of, pumpkin spice lattes are coming out at the end of August. Target and Costco and Hobby Lobby, they all have all their fall and Thanksgiving stuff out already, and it's just kind of I don't know, it's the cycle that we've put ourselves in, and I don't know how we're supposed to get out of it, because I'm culprit to it too. When I see the cute little pumpkins and the fall things at Target, even though it's mid-August, I still, in my mind, I'm like, well, I need to buy it now, because when the time actually comes for it to be that season, all of this will be sold out and they won't be restocking it. So I guess it's really the store's fault for making us that way. I don't know. But let me know below what you guys do. Do you buy a lot of like fall decor or like holiday decor super early and then just don't put it out until later? Or what do you think? I don't know. I'm not putting anything out until September. Okay, so we kind of did that inner corner. I don't really know. I guess I can see there is some shadowing, which I think is kind of the point. This is supposed to be kind of a more brown, neutral, I don't want to say like heavy, but like just kind of more of like a smoky look, I guess. So that's what that's looking like. So I think next I'm going to go in with concealer. I think it's also interesting this look doesn't really involve any powder on the face until maybe the very end. I'm just going to use the e.l.f. brightening pen under my eyes. I think in her tutorial she did put some of the cream bronzer using a pencil brush like on her lower lash line. I'm gonna do that after the concealer. I just felt like if I did it before, I would just blend it away when I put the concealer on. I'm gonna use my Maybelline Superstay Activewear Concealer. I've been like obsessed with this stuff recently. So we're just gonna put this on the areas of the face that we kind of want to highlight. Create some of that contrast with all the browns. And of course, if you have any blemishes you want to try, cover those. I also feel like I know I'm kind of late to the game, but if I'm being honest, I still don't use TikTok very often. I'm one of those people, like I have it on my phone and I pull it up every now and then, but I'm still trying to figure out like how it actually works. Maybe that's just the millennial in me, I don't know, but like I have the account, I go in and I'm just kind of like, there's times where I'm like I guess the more I use it, it will figure out what I like through its algorithm, and I'll see more of those types of videos. But since I'm still just kind of starting out using it, I'm like, how do I find the stuff that I actually want to see without having to like physically search it in the search bar? Like, how do I find people to follow that aren't just like already my friends and stuff like that? So I don't know, maybe that's kind of a dumb thing and I'm totally missing like a whole step of it, but I'm trying to use it more because I think it is good for just that short form content and finding quick little tutorials like this. That's something I do like TikTok for, and that's what I originally started watching YouTube for, was tutorials. And so I like that TikTok is kind of getting back to that with some things, but just like in a shorter version. But yeah, so that's the concealer. So I definitely think that helps. It kind of highlighted those parts of my face. My under eyes are really brightened, but now I'm gonna go in with a little pencil brush, and actually no, I'm gonna go in with like a true pencil brush, like a super thin one, and go back to that cream bronzer and kind of do the lash line like she did. I feel like I might need something a little darker to make that show up. Okay, I'm not seeing a huge difference, but I just might not be using a super dark bronzer. I'm still using that Wet n Wild stick. I might just go back over it with a powder eyeshadow when we get to that point, just to kind of darken it up and set that cream in. Okay, so I think we are done with the face cream products for now. Now we're gonna move on to some eyeshadow, and in her video, she used the full-sized Ambiance palette. I only have the mini version, so I am gonna pull from some of these colors, and you know, I think the point of it is that some of them, like this one you can see, I think this is a more like orange based. So those are the ones that she kind of was like, maybe stay away from those and try to stay more towards the true browns and the caramels. So because of that, I pulled out a couple other palettes that I already own that I feel like have some of those caramel colors. This is another Sigma palette. This is the Mini Warm Wishes palette. And here's what that looks like. So I feel like this shade is gonna be perfect as like a crease and like blending shade. And then even this shade could be a good shimmer version, like, yeah, because we're trying to stay away from like the red based colors and stick more to like the browns and the golds. So I'm thinking this palette in combination with this one would be good. And then also I was thinking, like originally when I heard about the latte makeup trend, I for some reason was thinking that it meant that it was all matte, but apparently that's not the case. But if you wanted to do an all matte look, I don't know if they sell this anymore, but I know they sell mini versions of it. The Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics palette is totally matte except for this one like highlight shade right here. But the rest of these are totally matte. And again, you'd want to be careful because this is obviously a red-based brown, but I feel like all the rest of the browns and the neutrals in this would be a good color scheme for creating a all matte latte makeup look. So I think I'm going to use a combination of these today though. So we're going to start out with the Warm Wishes palette using this blending shade. This is the shade called Flannel. I'm going to use a crease brush, the E40 from Sigma, and she kind of took it all the way in on her crease. Normally, sometimes I kind of keep it more to the outer part, but she took it all the way into the corner, and then also I feel like kind of blended it up all the way to her brow bone, which again, I don't normally do, but I think that could create some nice dimension and contrast on the face. I don't know about you guys, but school has started up where I live, so that means there's like an uptick in traffic in the morning and the afternoon, and it's just like a different vibe around town. So I don't know, I kind of always like the beginning of the school year though. There's just something about like the fresh school supplies and all the like organizational things at the stores, and like even though I'm not like going to school and stuff, my husband is a teacher, so it's just kind of a, I don't know, some people get that like at New Year's, you're like, it's a fresh start to the year and blah, blah, blah. And that's almost what the beginning of the school year feels like too. You're kind of like, refresh, start over, have a good school year. I don't know. It's kind of, it's interesting as an adult to still like be on the like school calendar kind of in my personal life. Sometimes you just can't get away from it. So there, I put that crease shade all over the crease into the inner eye and then pulled it up to the brow bone. I think we're going to darken that up some. I'm going to go to the Ambiance palette, and I'm going to use this dark shade at the end called Sunspot. It's a really dark brown. I'm going to put a tiny bit of that in my outer corner, like tiny. Because in the video, she then will take a pencil liner and do a little bit of a wing on the outer corner, and so I kind of want this to be the base for that. So maybe it's not as like stark and contrasting. I would still want it to be very blended. So I think that's like the fun thing about this type of look is, you know, while there's that original tutorial out there, you can still kind of make it work for you and your eye shape and your face shape. If you put something on that's in the tutorial and you're just like, I'm not feeling it, it doesn't mean that it's wrong or it's not going to work for you. You just got to change maybe the placement of a product or the color of a product. So again, I'm going to go in with a really tiny pencil brush back into that Sunspot shade, and I'm going to do just like a tiny, not even all across the lid, just kind of a little flare out at the end. I'm not the best at this, so I'm going to try hard, but I think that's the good thing about powder is powder can be a little more forgiving than a stark like eyeliner pen. So especially if you have more downturned eyes or hooded eyes, then having this little flick at the end will kind of lift the look up a little bit. I don't really have downturned eyes, but I do have slightly hooded eyes, so I think this actually looks pretty nice. I think too, like on this eye, like the line, the way, like the placement of it, it almost looks like a continuation of like your lashes a little bit. Okay, so there's kind of a close-up. It's pretty faint, but you can see the line right there, the line right there. So I just kind of, you know, kept it pretty subtle. And so then again, I'm gonna go in with that pencil brush and that same dark shade and go back to the lower lash line as she did in the video and just really smoke that out, deepen it up. And then it was interesting, she was like really focus it on the inner corner, which seems counterintuitive to be wanting to put like a dark product there. I don't know, I think we'll just kind of do it and hope that it turns out like smoky looking. Okay, so I did that one eye, so now I'm just gonna take a little like concealery blending brush and just kind of blend that a little bit so it's not as harsh. So you can definitely see the difference. Like it's looking a lot more smoky on this side than this side. So you could totally skip that step, especially if this is like a look you're wanting to wear like in the daytime or to the office. Like maybe I would skip that part. I think what's good about this look too is neutrals just look good on everyone, and you know, most people have some sort of neutral eyeshadow palette or neutral colors in their collection already. So even though, you know, in her video she's using the Ambiance palette, you don't have to own this. And even like I said, showing the mini version, I actually don't think the colors in the mini version are quite exactly what you're looking for this look. So you have to pull from other palettes that you have in your collection and just find those shades. And that's kind of what I appreciate about this look too. It's not about making you feel like you have to own a very specific product to create this look. It's just more like, just have something in this color scheme, you know? So if that means that you want to go out and buy a high-end palette that has all of those colors, great. If you want to try and go use your $5 Wet n Wild palette, great, it'll probably work. So I think that's something that I hope continues with some of these trends, is that it's more about the colors of the products than it is about the product itself, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's the eye with that, and then she said you could add a little bit of a shimmer if you wanted. So I think what I'm going to add is kind of a mixture of these two shimmers in the Warm Wishes palette, Fireside and Flicker. Fireside just looks maybe a little too dark on its own, and then Flicker is like straight up gold. So I'm gonna try and mix those a little bit just on a shadow brush very lightly. Just putting that in the center of the eye, just to kind of brighten it up a little bit. Put a little bit of depth. You totally don't have to do this step if you just wanted to leave it all matte. I'm just a shimmer person. I like having a little bit of shimmer and like extra color on my eyes every day. Pretty much always wear some sort of shimmer on my lid. Okay, so I think with the shimmer that actually looks really good. The last thing she kind of did on the eyes was take a little bit of a highlight shade into the inner corner, but you don't want it to be like a stark white shade. We've just used all these warm colors on her face. So you want to try and find a more like toned down or like bronzy highlight shade almost. So I pulled out my Hourglass 6-pan ambient lighting palette, and I think I'm going to pull this highlight shade. This is the Strobe Powder in Strobe Light. So I don't know if they sell this individually or something, but I know Hourglass would probably be a good option for a lot of these types of highlight powders. There's also drugstore versions. I think Wet n Wild has one that's a similar color. I just don't own any of those. Most of my highlights are more of the stark white color. I'm gonna take this more golden one and just do that inner corner. Okay, I feel like it's hard to see on camera, but in person I definitely think it helps the look. It just kind of, it's subtle, which I think is the point, but it just kind of, you know, that area is still a little dark, but it brightens it up just a tad. So then the next thing she did was mascara only on the upper lashes. So I'll do that off camera. I'm just gonna use my Cali Ray little mini mascara. Okay, so that's with the mascara just on the upper lashes. I moved you in a little bit so you can see a little more of the finished eye look. I really like it. It's hard for me to not put mascara on my bottom lashes because that's something I'm used to, but it kind of does help keep that lower lash line a little softer. Again, you could totally adjust that for your liking, and maybe if I did this again, I would maybe, again, like I said, not do the lower lash line as heavy and dark and maybe still put the mascara on instead. It just depends what you like. I think I also would have to set my under eyes with some sort of powder. Just having that much cream product under there is something I'm not used to, so I feel like it's just feeling a little heavy and like sticky almost, but we're fine for now. I think the last couple steps, we have lips and then some highlight. So let's do the highlight first. Again, I think I'm just gonna go into my Hourglass 6-pan highlight thing, and I think I'm gonna just do this finishing powder over here. So this is the one we used on the inner corner, and I think I'm gonna kind of do a combo of these two as my all over face highlight, because they are kind of, this is more of a finishing powder, and this is that bronzy, like shimmery shade. So I think a combo of those could look really nice. I'm just going to use a fluffy highlight brush from Sigma. This is an F12. Again, like the inner corner highlight, you don't want to pick anything too stark. I just kind of want it to be almost like a more bronzy glow. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. Not overly glowy, but you can see it when it hits the light. This look has also made me excited to pull out my Hourglass 6-pan palette more. If you've been watching my Project Pan videos, you know I've been pretty hyper-focused on my 3-pan Hourglass palette. I'm almost done with that, but since I've been pretty focused on that, I haven't really pulled this one out a lot, and this one, I don't know if they sell it anymore. Maybe this was a holiday one year, but they come out with these 6-pan ones every year. But this one I really liked because it just had colors that I would actually use. I love all of these. None of them are too dark or too light for me. And then I love that it had these 2 blush shades and then a bronzer. So I'm excited to pull this out more and kind of use it for more looks like this. I should have been utilizing it more in the summer, but you know, that's what happens when you have a lot of makeup. You gotta focus on something. So now for lips. In the video, she kept it pretty neutral and just used like a brown neutral lip liner. I actually am not gonna do that. I want a little bit of pink on my lips, so I'm gonna use the e.l.f. lipstick in Dirty Talk, just one of these O-Face ones. I feel like it's a pretty still neutral color, just with that hint of pink. So there it is on. You can see it's still a pretty neutral shade. It's a little bit of pink, but it's definitely got most of those brown undertones. So I just think this is a really nice neutral. I mean, it's looking a little more pink on my actual hand, but that's, you know, a lighter skin color than my lips. So I just feel like it's a good neutral color. It's almost a My Lips But Better color. And then you could totally leave it there if you wanted it matte, but I'm gonna add a little bit of gloss. So I'm just gonna use like a champagne gloss, or you could use, if you had like a darker brown gloss, you could use something like that. Just in the center. All right, that is the completed Latte makeup inspired look following the Tennille J tutorial on TikTok. I think she was kind of one of the OG people to post a look like that. I followed most of the steps in her video, left out a couple. I hope you guys try this look out. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know below what steps you skipped or that you added, or what looks best on you, what you would change. I really like this look. It's just something so different, and like even though it's neutrals, it still can push you out of your comfort zone, because I'm the type of person, you know, if I'm gonna do my makeup for work or going out, I usually put on foundation and maybe a little more concealer, powder to kind of set everything, and we didn't do that with this look, but I still think I have good coverage. I think I have good color and dimension on my face and in my eyes, and so it's just really interesting that we were able to create all that using basically the like 1 shade range, which was just those caramel browns. So I hope you enjoyed. Please give this video a thumbs up to let me know that you liked it. Please subscribe and let me know if you think I should try out some other TikTok makeup trends. I know that like the tomato girl, the strawberry girl makeup is going around. Am I a little too late to the game on those? I don't know. Let me know below, but please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye.